Hello, yes. Thank you very much, Chris, for this nice introduction. And I'm sure you're full of these amazing talks today, and yet another one. But I guarantee you, I show you a lot of images, so hopefully you will enjoy it. I briefly start to introduce our company, because it's a very small company, in fact. So we are an Amsterdam-based interactive design studio, and we have 2 developers and a designer, and then there is Roel Wouters in the center, and me. That's it. So we are interested in technology. I guess that's why we're here, and the complexity and the logic of technology, and also how humans, I actually don't need to stand behind this one, deal with it in their daily lives. But we are also very much interested in people, and yet what makes people different from the machine. So therefore, we a lot of times create these environments which are quite restricted, in which we place people and try to observe them, how they behave. So I will show you now a couple of examples to shed light on this thought. And I will start actually pretty analog, because this is something we found out that was very practical, hands-on and clear way to understand a couple of things. And in 2008, we wrote a manifesto. And that is also Jonathan Paki, I must say, a brilliant person that left Studio Moniker a year ago, and Edo Paulos, a sound artist. And we came together every week in my kitchen. And we discussed a lot, and we felt we have to state what are we doing. And we felt that the conventional terms are not fitting anymore. So we define ourselves not via the media you use, like a graphic designer or web designer, but the mentality. And so we called it conditional design. And what this is about, what it meant basically, what it states, summarize it very short. We are interested in the process. That means that we're interested in making things that can grow, that change, that are in constant flux, instead of making really static, fixed products. We want to make things that are rather fluid. And we have to, therefore, design conditions, frameworks, environment in which these processes can take place. And what kind of input do we need to fuel these environments with? And that is, we state, human interaction, and the most interesting input. So this is all very unscientific, what we do. It's very from maybe rather artistic point of view. So what we did also, after writing this manifesto, we met in my kitchen, and every week somebody had to come up. So in order to practice a little bit more what we preach, we had to come up with a set of rules that we would execute, the 4 of us around the table. And so it's almost what we've heard earlier also. We wrote basically an algorithm that we were trying to execute together. But the difference is that in this set of rules that we had to execute, there was designed in a little bit of freedom for us to decide what action to take. So it would be completely different if a computer would do it. So this little bit of space, this little bit of freedom was really important, and we got like completely into discussions and fights. But why did you place your line there? You could have, and I could have, these kind of things. And this was a really interesting thing that happened to get so engaged also, because we took it super serious. And also what another thought that we realized was in this was really nice, that it also was designing on a small scale. We were not worried about the outcome, how it should look like. It's more like iterating every little time your next step. And you get surprised about the result. And another thought was that it's not about winning or losing. It is about playing together because you're dependent on each other. You need each other for the next step. So the dependency is a really beautiful also metaphor of, the bigger picture. Another, this is then, for example, such a result. Although, you could also say the reward, because if you work with participation, we also heard that earlier, it's very important to get a reward, to see the action, the result of your action that you're doing. Sorry, I went back. Another short example that is maybe even more clear. In this workshop, here, somebody is the leader, and the other three have to point mirror the leader simultaneously. And the leader is for 30 seconds, and then the next person in row is the leader. And this is really difficult to do. And you constantly make mistakes, and then you have to continue on your mistake. You get completely into muddles. And you can also tease the other one when, he doesn't have placed the line in a right way. But this all deals with the human failure, in fact. And this is really a sort of concept or mode of fun that we used a lot in certain workshops. What makes us different from the machine? And the result, you see, what is interesting about this picture is the fact these mistakes are the force fields. If this would be a perfect mirror drawing, it would be completely boring. So we made a book also that is called Conditional Design Workbook, and that is unfortunately sold out since a long time, because a lot of people were very interested in the concept of having less control over the outcome. So even managers and, not even artists, designers, or creative people. So in this book, there were lots of examples from different workshops that we played. The next step, you could say, in this thought process, we open it now from the confined table to the public. So we invite the crowd to go through this algorithmic thinking. And we give museum visitors a sticker sheet in order to stick it on the floor according to a set of rules. And this is, you could say, maybe a participatory generative artwork. It used to be, the times that generative design was really big, but we also felt very bad about it because it is so slick. There's missing a lot of reasoning why we need to generate all this. So our interest was, if we now give the visitors only 4 stickers to glue those on the floor, what could come out? The rules on these stickers were very simple. Just glue it not further away than the size of the sticker. So in fact, it slowly evolves. You're not allowed to just start certain islands. This is what happened after 3 months and 10,000 stickers. By the way, it was in the Museum for Contemporary Arts in the Netherlands. And what was very interesting, as I said already, to us was, how do people collaborate? What is the collective image then, if you have only those little means to control the bigger image? How do you join in to other stories? In which way is your creativity sparked, or are you able to do anything at all? So how many limitations are interesting for people? If you would give them 10 stickers, it would be rather boring because you would have complete control to make your own design. And you see also that it's more like very abstract stories like traffic, more structured kind of things. But it's also, we realize, for people really hard to make random placements. They always try to make sense. And if you are with friends, obviously, you have more power, and then you can control the image. And that's very important, the little hacks. Of course, if you design a system, then there are people trying to look for the borders, and that's super beautiful to see what they do. We did that in different areas and all over the world. This was actually in Spain, in Gijón, Museum for Technology. They had circles and lines, and you see this rich, amazing carpet over the floor. Different places, different rules. This was at a Walker Art Center in Minneapolis. But now we go a step further. So just now we have given tools and a set of rules to the public. And now we also tell them what should come out, basically. So we tell them, try to make the alphabet. So how would the collective alphabet look like? And we call this the growing pains of collaborative type design. I explain quickly how this works. So this was in Sao Paulo, a workshop where every participant got a set of stickers, and what they had to do is glue, and there was also a rhythm telling them, and now together go to the next, like every 15 seconds, move on to the next letter. Yeah? So they would simultaneously move around like a clock. And they had to place a sticker at each letter, but not only place a sticker, also they were allowed to move one. So take one off and place it next to it. And because of this time constraint that we added to it, it is also total stress, obviously. You know, you have to go next, and you have to make really quick, very intuitive, pure decisions, not really aesthetical, what looks good. And also we have the spatial restrictions. So that led to really weird, very strange decisions, and you could say type design. That led to another project also around type design, which is actually a rather sad occasion, which is a monument for victims of a shooting that has been taking place 2 days after the ending of the Second World War. And there were 30 people dying, and there was a group that felt really unsatisfied the fact that they were never really recognized as victims of the war, and now they are, and so they became a monument. So we were asked to design this monument, and it is placed now at where the dots are. It's the center of Amsterdam, at the Dam Square. And what we did is we designed an online environment in which people, to commemorate these victims, can place a stone and place per victim one stone, and also move one stone. So this is, you see now, you went to the website and you see briefly the last placements, and you asked the first step, take a decision. So your stone hangs basically on your mouse cursor. You think, okay, now the skeleton is there, so I make letters bigger or bolder or so forth. This is quite at the beginning. And then you can think, okay, what stone do I don't like at that position, and you take it and you place it somewhere else. So I show you now. This has been taking place during 9 months, and I show you what has happened. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so maybe I tell you, of course, there are so many things to decide. Do I make uppercase or lowercase letters? Do I make series? Series have been taken away again. You know, the S was a snake, somebody else decided it's not a snake. Then, and letter N, we found out, is really difficult to make it wider because you in fact have to replace the stroke of the N completely to the right. And yeah, but in general, we realize that, oh, there's some part cut off. That it was taken super serious. I mean, also you're very limited in what you could do, but at the same time, it was not abused at all. And I think that was also related to the topic, obviously, that people felt, yeah, we have to answer to this question in a serious way. So after 9 months, we took this digital product, basically, and the design that has been coming out, and carved it in stone into 31 slabs of granite. And they've been placed in the ground now forever in the dump square. And it was also really nice to see how this journey comes from paper, stickers, web, ephemeral, and in the end, cobblestones in the ground. So you see here a glimpse of how it looks. That was obviously also motivation if you're online, that you know everything that I do now is I can find my stone bag in the dump square now. Now I make an even more extreme jump where before you had tools, we gave tools to the people to place around dots, and now we try to place people themselves, so people become the brush. So we try to script people. What happened? This was an experiment in Austria at a concert for classical experimental music. We collaborated with a band, and you see now the public sitting there. It was actually on the stage. I explained them what's going to happen. They did not know. They knew that they somehow had to participate, but they did not know what happened at all. What we did is, in the audience, we made a stage, the playing field, and there was a camera mounted to the ceiling. And the visitors, they received each a either yellow, blue, or red cape, and according to the cape, a headphone with a soundtrack on it. And the soundtrack had instructions what to do. And so they had obviously 3 different instructions. Every color had different instructions. You must imagine the instructions were more like that. It's not make a ring, but yellow was hearing, follow blue, but try to avoid red. Red was hearing, follow yellow, but try to avoid blue. Blue heard, follow red, but avoid yellow. So the effect of this was that it was a chase. And this is also what we were interested in, that trying to define or describe behavior, what they should do, instead of patterns, bigger patterns. And we were looking, hoping to see what principles would come out, or how they would solve it. And so after they did this performance, that they could sit down again, and then we played them the result in double speed together, accompanied by the band, live band. So I play you now compilation of what happened.
Willkommen. Du bist gelb. Du kannst jetzt das Spielfeld betreten.
I must apologize, there is missing, apparently, as you see, the upper part of the presentation. So there should be some projector problem, probably. Yes, so we were very nervous, of course. Would people join in? Would they do it, what we asked them for? And even though if they wouldn't, really we're not so, well, it cannot really go wrong, because even though they wouldn't answer the instructions or they wouldn't understand them well, they somehow had to solve it. You know, they were on the stage. And so it was very much self-organizing. At one point, they really got into trouble where we didn't really think it out well. For example, this was a scene where they had to move as a ball, bounce as a ball all over the floor, but there was no leader in charge to bounce over. You know, what direction does the ball move? That was so beautiful to see that somehow somebody takes an incentive, the collective takes an incentive, and then somehow you move a certain way. And yeah, they had to choose to cross, go in different directions, but that didn't work out at all. They came up with their own solution, which is really nice. That part became a bit political tinted because you had to run over the field as soon as you had another colored neighbor next to you. But in general, yeah, we sort of played like, developed scenes a bit like little tiny society. And yeah, I think also what is underlying this work is very much the idea of, do I join in? Do I become part of the collective? Or do I get rid of my own individuality? You know, why I'm doing this? But on the other hand, you know, sometimes it's really lovely to just follow the crowd and just don't think for yourself. But it is probably a big inner struggle that they were dealing with. Yeah, so this is how we wrote the script. We tested it, obviously, at home. Is it clear? And so forth, but it worked out really well. Now I like to show you a purely online project that we did recently for a client, because we like to make also campaigns. And we were thinking, we do click our machine every day, all day long. So let's do something with that. People love to click. So it is a campaign tool for Mozilla. And you know, Mozilla has an advocacy team which tries to protect the values of the internet, such as copyright, privacy, encryption, net neutrality, which is really nice. And they asked us to come up with an idea for a campaign that was trying to prevent copyright law that is about to change in Europe, which is really bad for the internet users, for the small people, let's say. So our idea was the image that we know from airborne leaflet propaganda from the old days, that you drop with a bomb thousands of leaflets on the ground in order to inform the population. And we thought, could we not use all those internet users and make them click, and by clicking, drop those pamphlets on the ground, Google Earth, and this way, and spread it, inform the others. And Mozilla liked it a lot. And so it's like a little bit bigger than a A4 sheet, but it's quite small. And yeah, we had these notifications on the top that you cannot see partly now to make you continue click. And people really loved it. They clicked the hell out of them. So 60 million leaflets were dropped. And after 500,000 of leaflets, or no, what was that? Yeah, 500,000 of leaflets, the European Parliament basically was covered, but we slowly zoomed out. There's always enough space to drop leaflets. And so, but after 10 million of leaflets, we jumped to a different campaign location, such as another important landmark of Europe, the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum in Rome. But still, we ended up with those circles, and we somehow felt a little bit, this is really beautiful, but also this circle feels so generic. And that has to do that the leaflet tumbles down always in the radius of your browser window, because we want them to see where their personal leaflet dropped down, and you could also pick it up and it was staying there next time you come to the site. And so we had one little idea to change the whole thing, that we could say, what if the leaflet tumbles down where you click? And we got the chance to do it for our next campaign that is fighting for net neutrality in the United States. That is at stake right now. And it just closed the campaign now. And it's addressed to the Mr. Pai, who is the chairman of the Federal Communication Commission. And what we did is that, so you click, and there your leaflet tumbles down, and if you just click next to it, there your leaflet is. And then if you continue like that, you can make lines, and if you can make lines, you can make letters. Yeah? So I show you now what happened. So this is in Washington, above the Capitol. Yeah, well, I mean, you can see that is a completely different engagement that we reached with this kind of tool, because we have much more power. But on the one hand, I mean, it became, in fact, a drawing tool, right? We didn't tell them, but they found out right away, obviously. But what is also quite interesting, that it's a really bad drawing tool, because it is really slow. Your leaflet has to drop down, and then you don't really see where you draw, because it has to wait and it tumbles. And that is also the quality, and again, this talk about the limitation, that is very, that it's make it fun. It's a challenge to try to achieve something to do. As you see also, I mean, people do things, other people change that again, and also moderation was a pretty of a problem, because right away loads of penises were drawn, and also racist statements, but also really beautiful statements were been written. So both were there, and Mozilla already at one point became a little bit nervous that, please, can you make us a nuclear bomb that we can somehow camouflage some things? So we had to do that after a couple of days. But yeah, I think it's always the question, how much freedom do you give then your participants? Censoring controversial drawings were right away up there. Also hacks or program drawings, although we try to prevent that you can program it. We did our best, but this is not a human hand, I think. And beautiful, yeah, where you play with the map draw itself with the ground. And I think this is also not a human that made this beautiful Helvetica letter shapes. So you see, it's somehow a continuous research to how to create, to use the creativity and the power of the collective. Yeah, again, the word creativity, but getting the right tools, shaping the tools, how much should be possible, how many limitations do you want to give them, how much you want to frame it, and in order to people become an actor rather than consumers. And I have now, as a last project, to show you Ne's work a little bit longer ago. And this is the Goodbye to the Mouse Pointer. It's a video clip, and we really like to make video clips because we use it basically as a format where nobody asks questions. Usually, is that art? Is that, what is it? Is it a film, or how shall I place it? And if you say it's a video clip, nobody has any question anymore. So you can use and abuse people for all kinds of things. This one is really easy to participate. So it is an homage, as I said, to the mouse pointer, to the mouse pointer that we think is going to disappear, or it's definitely going to disappear, which is basically the symbol of our online presence or existence. And what we did is we're recording your mouse pointer, and the only thing is you need to do, if you go to the website, you automatically part of the game. And if you don't want to take part, you have to just leave the site entirely. I'll just play you the clip. Yes, so this project went also very quickly viral, which was super nice. I really don't know why, but it is hugely successful. So what you always see is basically last couple of thousand visits laid on top of each other, rendered on top of each other. So you can go there to donouttouch.org later and be part of it and join the game. And what fascinates us and what is our driving force of these things, that they're so unpredictable. We don't really know what comes out if we have these people do these things. And also especially in this one, we, for example, was fascinated about the flow and the swarm behavior that was emerging, that we really didn't anticipate on that way. So that was a super beautiful surprise for us. Here, this one, we didn't really think about the or. Yeah, we thought of men or women, but the or, of course. Or, this one was also interesting to see where the clip was popular in different times and different, blogs posted, and you all of a sudden saw where right now it is apparently going around. The self-censoring, obviously, that had to happen. And we definitely didn't think that the internet has decided that the smiley has a nose. Thank you.